around, given everything that's gone on with the club, given the injuries, given potentially more concussion injuries as well. That's going to be a tough one for Tottenham players, for Tottenham fans. Then, of course, it's that return leg in the Champions League on Wednesday. Forget that. They won't turn that around. Tottenham are out of the Champions League. Then, of course, Nottingham Forest, a 6-point of that one against the relegation rival at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium before a bit of a break in football. By then, I'm sure a decision will have been made one way or the other about Igor Tudor.
OK, let's get some more on the continuing misery at Tottenham Hotspur. Micky van der Ven says that it is a doomsday scenario following that 5-2 defeat at Atletico Madrid, with their Premier League safety being under threat. So he told the Dutch broadcaster Ziggo Sport it's actually a doomsday scenario. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. For our goalkeeper, it's terrible as well, of course. You don't wish that on anyone. For 15 minutes, we just conceded goals that you really can't do anything about. Right now, we're just taking blow after blow after blow. It just really is tough. And now we also have an important match this weekend that I won't be able to play in because I'm suspended. It's a really terrible period, I can tell you that. It's really, really awful. I'm not on my phone anymore. I'm completely done with it. It's rough, really rough. I have to keep going. It's part of it. That's life. And we'll see what's coming. Yeah, so strong words there from him. Well, former Spurs midfielder Jamie O'Hara can't believe Igor Tudor hasn't been sacked yet.
He should have been out the door. I can't believe that he is still there. I cannot believe Tottenham have not come out with a statement. This guy cannot be involved with this football club anymore. He can't be around these players. These players are absolutely gone. The way they've played last night says that they've checked out. You have to get rid of him. He can't be going into the training ground today and taking another session. He's just not. He's nowhere near good enough. He's been there, what, 3 weeks? Right? He's lost four games.
4 games.
4 games, conceded 14 goals in 4 games. We've got worse in every department from Thomas Frank. The whole point of bringing in a new manager is to get a new manager bounce. There's so many things wrong. One, who appointed this guy? You know, that needs to be studied, all right, for bringing this guy in. But 2, you've got to pull the trigger. You've got to get him out of here. You've got to. He's got to go. He cannot be in charge against Liverpool. He cannot take any more training. I don't think these players can actually stand him. I don't think the players want him around him. He's buried their confidence. He's buried their belief, the way he's treated them. But, yeah, look, the club's a mess. The players are not performing. But he is not the answer.
Meanwhile, former Tottenham boss Harry Redknapp has played down chances of a return to Spurs. Speaking to the Press Association at the Cheltenham Festival, this is what he said. I've been asked a few times if I'd go back to Spurs, and it's probably not going to happen, is it? Would I go back? Of course I would, but I doubt very much it's going to happen. They've got it all on to stay up. It's going to be hard. I'm looking at their fixtures, and Forest are playing all right. West Ham are playing very well. It's going to be tough for Tottenham. My only concern at the minute is the jukebox man in the Gold Cup. I'm nothing to do with Spurs anymore. They haven't been in touch, not at all. I hope Spurs stay up, and I hope West Ham stay up. A lot to get into then, Jimmy. Look, as we mentioned, Spurs have confirmed that Tudor is going to take Friday's pre-match conference ahead of Liverpool. Should his time be up, though? It's 4 miserable games in charge.
Well, it didn't look good at all. It didn't look good against Crystal Palace at home. What was really disappointed, and it didn't look better. It looked worse against Atletico Madrid. They're getting goals against by individual mistakes. And they keep on occurring, and they keep on being people that the manager is putting or giving a chance to play. It's just not working. Every decision or every team plan that they have gets shattered in the first 10, 15 minutes. And that's a big problem. And when you look at their body language, the body language of the players isn't good. You know, there's no belief. You know, looking at them, it doesn't look like they have a belief. They're feeling sorry for themselves. When you hear Van der Ven speaking, he's clearly, feeling sorry for himself. At the moment, there is no time feeling sorry for yourself. You need to find a way that you're together and make a fist and work towards a draw first. Forget about a win. Work towards a draw. Work towards a clean sheet, what looks like a mountain to climb. But I think it's in there. It's just them have to believe that it is. And I don't think that the connection with the manager and the players are... I'm not getting a great feeling from that.
So does he need to go?
Look, I'm a coach, I'm a manager myself. I will never say a manager needs to go. But there are certain fundamentals that have to change in that group. And it needs to be happening now.
OK. Dave Reed's alongside us as well. Dave, look, we're running this poll. I'm asking, will Igor Tudor still be in charge of Spurs against Liverpool on Sunday? We know he's taking the pre-match news conference. This poll is on our website and our app, so you can head there to get your vote. The Supporters Trust also released a statement last night. What did you make of that?
It's pointed, but I think it was the frustration that's been coming amongst the Spurs supporters, not just over Igor Tudor's time in charge, but all the way back to the end of Mauricio Pochettino. That is where the frustration and almost you can source these problems at Spurs have gone back to the time from when Mauricio Pochettino left the club. And Jimmy makes a great point around work towards a draw, work towards a clean sheet. But the manager isn't setting them up that way. They're not being compact. They're not defending as a team. This man-to-man thing that he wants to do isn't working. And a lot of Spurs fans, they're calling for emergency action, the Tottenham Hotspur Trust. I don't know in what form that comes in. Is that a change of manager? Is it even more drastic than that? Is it the manager and other people to go as well? If he does go, Jimmy, who should come in or who would come in? What would you do?
And that's the thing. It has to be somebody that knows the Premier League. It has to be someone that knows the club a little bit. It has to be someone that the players will respect. But I think I would go for somebody like Redknapp or Tim Sherwood because they know the club. But then if you do a Redknapp, it will have to be a combination of, because you also need somebody that can bring the squad together, that dressing room together, and liking each other again, and also someone that is going to dig them out, and that has to happen. It has to happen. That you have to put 11 men on the pitch, and forget about how you play football, or if you're going to be a passing game, it has to be a resulted performance you need the next few matches. And I think it has to be one of those guys that at least they know the Premier League in and out. They know next week we are playing against Liverpool. They know the feeling of Anfield. They know what is going to be expected in that game. Not only for Spurs, but they know what they're going to get, from them supporters at Liverpool and all that kind of stuff. So they can downplay things or they can hype things up or for the team. And at least you get a proper go. They need two wins. 2 wins.
Yeah.
They need 2 wins very quickly. And they're only going to get them 2 wins when they have played. They're not going to get it straight away in the next game. They're going to have a really good performance that is going to make them believe. A good performance that they hopefully get a draw, but it's going to make them believe. And from there, they're going to have to build.
Yeah, and Tudor was brought in because he had this reputation of being able to get immediate results.
The Croatian
from
Sam
teams.
Allardyce.
Something
is what
like
he was
that,
called.
something along those lines. But Spurs were hoping...
There's only one Sam Allardyce, by the way.
But it was that whole thing of he can fight
Yeah.
fires.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's what he's done throughout his managerial career. He's got immediate results, but it hasn't happened this time around. It's 4 defeats in a row, 3 defeats in the Premier League as well.
Let's not underestimate the Premier League. The Premier League is different, totally different than on the continent. Whatever you say, yeah, Premier League, whole different ballgame. The games are so much faster. There is so much more running. There is so much more intensity. The stadiums are different. The atmosphere is different. You have to know that. And majority of the managers who come in the middle of the season, they have to adjust. It's the ones that come at the beginning of the season, they succeed majority of the time. They have gone for somebody who doesn't know the Premier League to get them out of trouble, you know?
Let me just quickly explain what we're looking at here. We've got worst Premier League. I was trying to think of what the opposite was of a manager bounce. This is like a manager flatline almost. Worst manager bounces. So we've compared managers' games in charge, minimum 3 games, against the overall record of the manager that was in charge of the club at the start of the season. So the points per game difference, Andrew, obviously minus 1.13 points per game compared to Nuno's time in charge. Similar, Vitor Pereira's on this list compared to Nuno's time in charge. Igor Tudor is looking at minus 1.12 points per game from Thomas Frank's record in his time in charge from the start of the season. So this goes all the way back to 2010-11. Igor Tudor with the second worst record there.
OK, well, look, with a few more talking points here. We're going to get onto the goalkeeper situation and what happened with him being substituted shortly. But, look, it doesn't get any easier for Spurs. Up next, it's a trip to...
Being Jamie O'Hara not happy with Tottenham Hotspur, as you might expect this morning, beaten 5-2 by Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. We are going to go live to Tottenham Hotspur's training ground very, very soon. OK, but Jamie, just sum up what... Because it wasn't just last night that you're upset with, is it?
No, of course not.
Since Tudor's come in, and even before that, there's been problems at Tottenham. Yeah,
it's been a disaster. I mean, all season, the mentality's not been there. The players haven't been good enough. You know, Thomas Frank, they underperformed with him, but his style of football as well, I think, was so pragmatic. The players weren't really in tune with it. So they sacked him and bring in this guy. And it's got 10 times worse. We're a worse team with this manager. You're meant to get a new manager bounce. He comes in all guns blazing. You know, he's digging out the players. He's come in. You know, he's saying there's problems and he's this and that. And he hasn't built any confidence in the squad. He's not built any belief. The performances, you can see that. You can see it in the players, their mentality, the body language. One of the worst appointments I've ever seen at Tottenham. Shocking.
Let's go live to Spurs training ground right now. Gary Cottrell is there for us. Sorry about that. Right, Gary, you were there when Tottenham were training ahead of this first leg. Do you think that Igor Tudor will still be there ahead of the second leg?
No. I think the stuff seems very quiet out here at the moment, but the stuff I think going on inside. A couple of reasons why I think that, and that is at about 10-9 this morning. The chief executive, who will be the one who makes the decision, well, not necessarily makes the decision, but will announce the decision that Igor Tudor is to be relieved of his duties, if that is to be the case. Arrived here at the training ground. Igor Tudor is inside the training ground. My understanding is that he arrived yesterday after the, early this morning after. I'm moving out of the way because we saw this people carrier going in about 15-20 minutes ago, and now it's coming out. So listen, we're going to get the shot just in case in time it turns out to be Igor Tudor leaving the Tottenham Hotspur training ground, because I think that is what will happen, if not now, then at some point quite soon, because as I say, the CEO is in there. Igor Tudor spent the night in the lodge inside this training ground after getting off that flight from Spain in the early hours of the morning. The players got in their cars at the airport and went home, but him and a couple of the coaches stayed, I understand, at the hotel. So he will have been already in the training ground when the CEO arrived. So I think that probably there is something afoot down here at the training ground, which of course many pundits, many fans, many ex-players, potentially many of the current players, given the kind of body language that we saw in Madrid last night, would be in favour of.
Just to be clear there, Gary, given all of your years of expertise in this, you've seen all this happen before. It seems like all the signs are pointing to another change at Tottenham Hotspur. Question there, but it's okay, we've got Jamie here. When Gary's back, we'll get back to Gary. We'll get back to Gary. But Jamie, you said when you saw that picture of Vinay Venkatesan arriving at the training ground that something was going on. Gary's there and he agrees with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when obviously speaking to Gary and you're talking about the manager already being there, Vinay's there, then there's no reason for him to be there other than to address the situation at a football club, whether that's with the players, with the manager, you have a meeting. His office will be at the stadium. That's where their office is, they're based, the chief executives of the football club. You don't have them at the training ground, that's not where they'd have an office. So the fact that he's there says to me that, they're going to sack this manager. They are. I cannot see anything other than that he goes. He has to go. It was interesting. I wanted to ask Gary if the players have turned up today, if they're going to be in at some point, if there was any signs that some of the players are there, because Liverpool at the weekend, do you give them a day off? I don't know. It's Wednesday today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Maybe you give them a day off of a bit of rest after travelling. But it'd be interesting to see what happens. And yeah, look, I can't get away from the fact that this manager will be leaving today.
We weren't sure if Tudor was at the training ground earlier. Gary says he is there.
Well, if he stayed there, that makes sense.
Stayed there last night. Okay, so we know that at least. The next 3 games, right? We know it's Liverpool away on Sunday. There's no way, you said in the first hour, nothing's a free hit when you're down in that relegation battle. Liverpool away, who haven't been brilliant this season. Then the second leg against Atletico. You're writing that one off. And also, then, that's the huge one. Sunday the 22nd of March. That's at home to Nottingham Forest, who are right down there with them. I mean, realistically, do you forget the next 2 and say, just make sure you beat Forest?
Because then
away at Sunderland, nothing to play for. Home to Brighton, nothing to play for. Away at Wolves, bottom of the league, coming up after that.
Yeah, but you can't... Listen, Liverpool are beatable. No, I'm not saying Spurs can go to Anfield and get a win, but Spurs, historically...
Do you feel more confident with someone else in charge than
Tudor? I'd be way more happy if anyone in charge apart from this guy. Honestly, anyone. Like, honestly, this guy cannot be in charge against Liverpool. I've got no confidence. If he's in charge at Liverpool, that game, forget about it. If you sack him now and you give a manager or someone, to come in and just get the players on side and maybe get a tune out of them, pick a team that kind of maybe gives them a bit of a lift, I think everyone at Spurs, in the players, I think will be happy to see the back of this guy. I really do. And look, you can't write Liverpool off. That's it. They're a team that can be beat this season. We've seen that. We've seen teams go there and perform well. Do I believe we can get something from the game? At the moment, no. But you can't say it's a free hit. I mean, Atletico Madrid, look, that game's gone, but stranger things have happened, of course. Anything can happen. But obviously, you've got to build up to the game against Nottingham Forest. That there is a massive game, a cup final. But you need to put in some decent performances. We talked about the Champions League, Atletico Madrid. You say, it's a bit of an experiment. You still got... It's the manner of how you play. You have still got to put in decent performances. You can't get rolled over. You can't turn up to Liverpool and go, it's a free hit, we get beat 4-0. No. You've got to put in a performance. You can accept getting beat 2-1, 1-0, but there's signs, there's encouraging moments where you go, that's what we can build on, that's good, that's a positive. There's no positives in Spurs right now. None. So you have to go and perform. And that's where this manager, I just don't think, has got any idea of how to get any performances out of the players.
OK, well, Gary Cottrell is back for us, who's at the Tottenham Hotspur training ground. Gary, OK, you were talking there about what you're expecting to happen today, having seen Vinay Venkatesan, etc. In all of your years of expertise in this field, have you seen a bigger Premier League story than Tottenham in a relegation battle, a real relegation battle, and in this much turmoil where they might make another change with a few games to go?
Yeah, listen, just by way of explanation, obviously I've got a thing in my ear which means I can listen to what you guys are saying and listen to the questions. The phone signal isn't very good here and it dropped out, so that's why I was standing there a bit gormless when you were asking me a question before. But in answer to your question this time, it's chaotic, isn't it? It's absolutely chaotic. What was it? I think it was actually Friday, February the 13th, when we first got the first hint that Igor Tudor was going to be the new man here at Tottenham Hotspur. It was announced on the 14th, but we started to report it as about to happen on Friday the 13th, and I think that's relevant because it's been cursed from day one, hasn't it? What a troubled 4 weeks it's been. 4 matches, 4 defeats, 14 goals conceded, a point above the relegation zone. They're in real danger, as the supporters say, of blindly walking over a cliff into the Championship. They're out of the Champions League now, let's face it, and what's he been here, as I say, less than 4 weeks. He never was, it would seem, the right man for the job. The players weren't buying into him. He couldn't communicate properly with the media, couldn't communicate properly with the fans. Even now, when you're asking about bringing off Kinsky after 1,000 seconds, he says to the flash interview with the host broadcasters immediately after the game, no, I haven't spoken to him about it. The details, the press conference and the club TV that he has spoken to him about it, he's all over the place. No, frankly, in answer to your question, I've never seen anything like it.
Gary, I've got to ask you, because obviously you're there. I know you talked about Vinay turning up, and we obviously know that Igor Tudor is already at the training ground. Have we seen any of the players? Have any of the players turned up? He can't hear us, can he?
Talk to me.
It's happening again. About the
What, Spurs have happened again? Very Spursy this from Gary.
They've turned the Wi-Fi off, etc., down at Tottenham because of it. Let's go back to what we were talking about at the very top of the show and his treatment of Antonin Kinsky.
Yeah.
So he put him in the team, having not played for about 6 months or so.
Yeah.
He then subbed him off after 17 minutes after a couple of errors.
Yeah.
But you said the most important thing was that when Kinsky came off,
Yeah.
Tudor snubbed him. And what a lot of people hadn't noticed is actually he'd snubbed everyone that came off.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
How bad is that for a player? How hard is that as a player to take? Because there's lots of times when that's happened and there's uproar about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, as a manager, it's shocking. The lad's 22 years old.
If a player had refused to shake his hand, we'd be talking about it a lot more, wouldn't we?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he'd be talking about, and that's it. It's the last time he plays for Spurs if a player walked off and doesn't shake the manager's hand. No, I get it. The manager's angry. You know, his career is imploding in front of his eyes. You know, he's gone there at Tottenham, thinks he can go and do a decent job, and it's been nothing short of embarrassing. So I get it. It's personal for him as well. You can tell. He's the type of guy who this is going to hurt him. You know, he's going to feel like these players are completely letting him down. But you've got to be a man manager in that moment. You've got to show some kind of sort of attributes of being a man manager in terms of, Kinsky, you make the decision to take him off. Go and give him a hug. Don't let him just walk down the tunnel on his own, like he was about to cry, and the players on the bench are having to chase him down there. Like, come on. I mean, it's not good enough. And, you're talking about Spence come off in the second half. He went and sat down on a bench, and then he actually went back to the manager, tapped him on the shoulder and shook his hand. He's making a point. You can, like, that to me, like, I've been a footballer. That says to me that the players do not like this manager. And this manager is quite happy to dig them out. He's quite happy to give them the cold shoulder. And that, for me, is a telltale sign of there's a massive rift there already with this guy after, 4 weeks, when you bring a manager in to get the players on side. So it's all gone wrong for him. It's been a terrible appointment. But it was shocking to see that, the way he treated Kinsky walking off the pitch was unacceptable. I think the only person that went up to him is Alan Dixon, who's the guy who's always there. He's been there for a long. He's there when we used to call him Rambo. He's a great guy. He's a bit like he's a player liaison, security guard. He's involved at the football club a lot. He's there. He was the only one who actually went up to him. He's not even a coach. And you're looking at it going, come on. There's people at the football club. Look, Alan Dixon, the guy there, I know him well. He's a great guy. The players love him. Where's the others? Where's the other guys? Where are the people at this football club who know that football club, who have been at that football club? The kit man, Dukesy, is another one. He's been at that football club for years. These are the type of people you need. When you build a successful football club, You know, forget the commercial side of it. Forget the concerts. Forget all this other rubbish that Tottenham have been trying to build. You're a football club. You need football people there. You need people who breathe Tottenham, who want to see that club successful. And I feel like over the years that this club has just got rid of all them players, got rid of all them people who care about the football club, who want to see this football club succeed, and they've just brought in commercially related people who, you know, might know how to organise a Beyonce concert, but they ain't got no one there who knows how to organise a football team, who knows what it means to be in a dressing room, who knows what it means to be around a training ground, who knows what it means to build players and bring success. Them players, that football club, it looks to me like they've just completely lost their identity of what Tottenham is about. There's no one there. There's no one there who's got any identity to Tottenham.
All of those criticisms would normally be aimed at Daniel Levy, though.
Yeah, of course they are.
Anymore.
Yeah, but Daniel Levy's not there. But Daniel Levy's been a part of that. Daniel Levy's been a massive part of, you know, these people of not having them people at the football club anymore.
He did some right things as well. Would he have allowed this to happen?
I think Daniel Levy maybe would have sacked Thomas Frank a little bit earlier. I don't think he would have appointed Igor Tudor. I don't think that was an appointment that he would make. You know, for me, you know, you look at the appointment. That is, Johan Lange and Vinay, the guys who have come in, unacceptable. Unacceptable. How these guys have got a job, how they're making these decisions, how poor they are in terms of the recruitment and the decisions that they've made at Tottenham. Any other walk of life, any other job, you get sacked. People say, the technical director, sporting director, what do they do? They're a massive part of the football club. They're a huge part of making decisions. You have got to build a mentality, a culture at a football club to make this club successful. Getting the right people through the door, getting the right staff, you know, getting the right players, the right recruitment, the right agents, the right scouts. Everything you do as a technical director at a football club, and when you have to make a big decision, you make the right decision. If you make poor decision, any other job, you get sacked. Sorry, you're not good enough. I don't get how these people who stay in a job at a football club for so long are allowed to keep making poor decisions and get away with it. This has been coming for Spurs. It's been coming for years. This is not a surprise. We finished 17th last season, and now we look like we're going down. There has been no progress at this football club since Pochettino. There's been no progress, nothing. Oh, we won Europa League. We played against garbage, you know. But the Premier League is where it's at, and this team has fallen by the wayside. And there's people there who are running this football club, who are in charge of this football club, who are making poor decision after poor decision, and they've forgotten what the Tottenham is. They've forgotten there's no identity there whatsoever. And it's no surprise to see this club where it's at.